She didn't meet me at the door that night. No quick glance from the couch. No, hey, you're home. I set my keys in the tray and walked into the living room. Megan sat cross-legged with a blanket, scrolling her phone like it paid rent. TV murmured some talent show. I leaned in to kiss her head. She shifted away a fraction, like my shadow bothered her. Evening, I said. Don't. She answered without looking up. I'm not in the mood. Not in the mood to say hi. Not in the mood to be touched. I stood there a beat, then shrugged out of my jacket. Noted. She kept scrolling. I went to the kitchen, opened the fridge, and stared at leftovers. When your wife treats you like the waiter who forgot her dressing, cold chicken tastes colder. I plated some anyway, grabbed a glass of water, and walked back. You eat? I asked. Had a salad. You want anything? I said I'm fine. Right. She glanced up finally. Can you not hover? I'm sitting on my own couch, and I'm asking for space. I chewed and watched the blue glow on her face. The dog, technically ours, realistically mine, thumped his tail under my hand. My head did the math. Short fuse, short words, short patience. This hadn't started tonight. It had just stopped pretending. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have bought a calendar and a stopwatch. Turns out timing mattered more than feelings. We'd been married 8 years. We had a small house on a quiet street, a lawn I kept trimmed, and a kitchen we remodeled with weekends and splinters. Nothing fancy. We did fine. I run operations at a small fabrication shop. She worked hybrid at a dental office. Insurance, scheduling, a lot of phone apologies for other people's mistakes. Stressful, sure. People are heavy when they're in a chair with their mouth open. I gave her that. I gave her space too. First signal came subtle. Her phone never left her hand, even in the bathroom. Then jokes about me being predictable when I grilled the same way or folded towels into the same stack. Then the couch routine, blanket fort, earbuds, the human equivalent of a do not disturb sign. I didn't chase. I changed my hours. I started lifting earlier, came home later. If being absent was safer for the weather, I could cloud watch from a distance. When she rolled past midnight the next Thursday and dropped her purse like a stranger, I set down my book. Work run late? I asked. She kicked off shoes, walked to the sink for a long drink, and came back with the casual attitude of someone who paid for every chair in the room. I was with Tara. At her place? Out. Doing? She scratched at the blanket fuzz. Do you need a schedule? I need honesty. Don't start, she said. I'm not doing this. Doing what? This interrogation. I asked 2 questions, I replied. We live together. She smirked. Barely. My eyebrow went up. Barely. You're never here, she said, turning her phone face down at last. Then when you are, you hover and watch. Noticed I'm never here because lately here doesn't want me. She opened her mouth, closed it, then gave me the line that starts a new chapter in a lot of marriages. I think I need more space. You've got all the space you can ask for in this house, I said. I don't crowd. I mean emotionally. Define it. I can't define everything for you, she said, adjusting the blanket like it was armor. I'm tired. I've been stressed. Tara needed me. Her mom's sick. I was helping. Got it. Text next time. I cooked and waited. You cooked chicken. Correct. Then it's fine. It wasn't fine. It was a warning label. I nodded, stood, and made a decision. I'll give you all the space you need. Starting now, we recalibrate. Her eyes narrowed. What does that mean? It means I'll stop checking in. I'll stop planning dinners around guesses. I'll handle my schedule. You handle yours. I'll take the guest room for a while so you can get your emotional square footage. But I'm not playing the guessing game. You want me, you say? Otherwise I won't assume. She blinked. You're being dramatic. No, I said, picking up my plate. I'm being clear. I slept in the guest room that night. Next morning, I left before sunrise and texted her at lunch. Dinner at 7? Yes or no? At 5:30, she replied, don't wait on me. So I ate an omelet at the diner and went home to a dark house and a dog who believed in me more than my wife did. I gave her 3 weeks of that system. Minimal chatter. Straight yes/no for logistics. Respectful distance. She used the space to turn our house into a charging station she visited between obligations I didn't get invited to. Friday, she breezed in at 1:30. Saturday, she left at 6 to help her dad and returned past midnight. Sunday, she stood in the kitchen scrolling while I brewed coffee like I was a background extra. You look good, I said, purely neutral. She didn't glance up. Yeah. Plans. Maybe brunch with Tara. Maybe makes groceries stale, I said, pouring a mug. Give me a yes or no. She met my eyes finally. No. Understood. I took the dog to the park. On the way back, my neighbor Alice waved from her mailbox. Alice is mid-50s, retired nurse, sees everything but doesn't put it on a group chat. That day, she gave me a look I recognized from Tree Off. You two okay? She asked mildly. Growing pains, I told her. She's been out late. I only notice because I sleep light. Just check your boundaries, honey. Working on it, I said. Noted. At the shop, Ben, my lead welder, dry wit, divorced a decade, leaned in my doorway. You look like you slept on a yoga mat, he said. Guest room special. Space. Apparently. He nodded once. Don't chase. People who want to be found leave a trail. People who want to hide build a maze. Solid calendar quote, I said. Add a wolf howling at the moon. He grinned. I got a guy. Also, if you want a number for someone who finds things without the howling, I know a PI. Helped me when my ex started playing magician with weekends. I'm not there, I answered. You will be if the maze gets expensive. By Tuesday I was there. Megan had started putting her phone face down at dinner, on the rare night she ate with me, and forgetting her charger, then using mine. Thursday she took my car, because hers had a light on. When she returned it, she left gas fumes and a receipt for 2 iced teas and a shareable appetizer from a place across town we'd never liked. I picked up the receipt, flipped it over, and put it in a drawer. That night, she went to Tara's again. At 11, I texted, You staying over? No response. At 1:16, the door clicked and she walked in with makeup reset and a hair tie from a gym I didn't recognize. Good workout, I asked calmly. She rolled her eyes. I'm exhausted. Don't start. I'm not starting. I'm marking. You're coming home at 1:16. So I'm setting a new rule. She stopped halfway to the hallway. What rule? You want space, you get space. But space has curfews in a marriage. If you're out past midnight, I'm locking both deadbolts and the chain. If you want in, knock, and I'll decide if I'm opening. Nothing personal. Just basic respect. You're joking. I don't joke with locks. Her mouth hung open for half a second. You're being controlling. I'm being exactly as controlled as your choices require. She laughed once, short. Wow. I said. Go sleep. I'm going to the shop early. She disappeared down the hall. I rinsed a glass I didn't want to smash and drafted a simple budget split on my laptop. Separate cards for discretionary spending, joint for mortgage and utilities, no more. I paid it. You pay me later. I printed it and left it on the kitchen island with a pen. She looked at the paper in the morning, then at me. What is this? Clarity. I don't need this. I do. Sign it or don't. But I'm moving money to separate checking today. We'll cover the house together. Everything else we handle alone. So now we're roommates? We've been roommates for a month, I answered. This just makes it real. She tapped the page with the pen, didn't sign, and walked out with her bag. I snapped a photo and texted it with, goes into effect Friday. That's 2 days. Heads up. At lunch, I called Ben. Give me the PI's number. He texted back in under a minute. O'Rourke. Discreet. Not cheap. I called. The voice on the other end sounded like gravel and coffee. You need surveillance? He asked. I need daylight. Discreet. I don't want drama. I want facts. Name. I gave him hers. He asked for a photo, a schedule, cars, spots she might frequent. He asked if this was for sport or for outcome. Outcome, I said. Clean exit. No fireworks. Then you let me do my job, he said. You don't tip your hand. Pay the retainer. We talk when I have what I have. I wired the money. That night, I cooked for me. Megan came home at 9:30, pecked at a salad, and sat opposite like we were in a waiting room. Work okay? I asked. Busy. Need anything? I need you to stop checking up on me. I'm being polite, I said. Polite feels like pressure. Then we'll skip civilities. I'm going to read. She stared at me, then, out of nowhere, stood, came around, and put a hand on my shoulder. I know I've been distant, she said. I'm trying. It's been a lot. Dad's blood work, Mom's appointments, Tara falling apart, my job-changing software. I'm tapped out. I hear you, I said evenly. She squeezed my shoulder. Maybe Saturday we go for a drive? Just us. Coffee and a long road. No plans. Okay, I said. If it's still what you want Saturday morning, we go. She nodded, gave me the smallest smile I'd seen in weeks, and went to shower. Mid-turn my head said, An olive branch. Maybe real. Maybe tactical. I put it where it belonged. Acknowledged, not banked. Friday, O'Rourke texted a single line. We'll talk Monday. I spent Saturday morning in the driveway wiping down my truck. 10 a.m., Megan came out with her bag and a look that tried to be bright. Ready? She asked. I am. She held up a hand. Rain check. Tara's mom had a dizzy spell. I'm not doing rain checks from people who set the forecast, I replied. It's not my fault. It is if you volunteered to be the ambulance. Her lips thinned. Fine. Be mad. I'm not mad. I tossed the towel over the bucket. I'm adjusting. I'm taking the drive myself. You handle your dizzy spell. I said I'm trying, she said, exasperated now. Try on a schedule next time, I answered. I grabbed coffee at the gas station and drove toward the lake anyway. No music, just road noise and thinking. When I got back, the guest room looked better than our bedroom. I made it my room, not our timeout corner. I set up my desk. I moved my clothes. That night, Megan knocked. You're moving out? She asked. I'm moving over. And I'm what? A visitor in my own house. You're an adult in a shared space with a man who expects respect. She breathed heavy through her nose. You know what? Keep the cave. I'll be late tonight. You'll be locked out after midnight. I reminded her. She rolled her eyes. We'll see. We saw. The knock came at 12:20. I let it sit for a minute, then another. The dog looked between me and the door like he wanted to vote. I opened the inner door, left the chain on. Password? I asked lightly. Stop, she snapped. Open. Knock softer, I said, and closed it until the chain slid free, then opened. She brushed past me without a word. I closed up and went to bed. Sunday morning, the budget sheet had her signature in quick, offended strokes. Good. Systems remove the need for lectures. Monday, O'Rourke called. You free? Go. He didn't warm me up. Your wife is seeing a man named Eric Palmer. He lives across town. Married. Works in automotive sales. They met 3 times this past week in public and 2 times in a private residence. I have photos of them together at a wine bar, at a small theater, and entering his place last night at 9:50 and leaving at 12:43. They used your car once last week when she said hers had a light on. That was Wednesday. My hand found the edge of my desk. You're sure? I don't call without being sure. I'll send a file. He's got a wife at home. Name's Laura. I'll include their address. I stared at the window until the wood grain made sense again. Send it, I said. You want me to keep going? No, I answered. You did enough. The file hit my inbox 10 minutes later. Time-stamped shots of Megan and a clean-cut guy at a two-top table, at a small theater's line, laughing in the kind of way my house hadn't heard in months, then a wide shot of them walking into a townhouse door. I printed the top 8. I called an attorney, Ms. Patel, recommended by a client who paid her to cleanly cut through mud. She listened, didn't dramatize, asked for the file and the budget numbers and the mortgage statements. You want a quick separation? She asked. I want a clean one. I don't want to throw knives. Good. I'll prepare the documents. Don't alert her. Silence saves money. Can I alert his wife? She paused. You can. Use your judgment. If she takes action, it will not hurt you. But do not warn your wife. I repeat, say nothing until we file. Crystal, give me a day, Ms. Patel added. Then check your email. I worked through the afternoon, hands steady, heart operational. At 5, I drove to the address O'Rourke gave me for Eric and Laura. Small craftsman house, tidy porch, wind chimes, a back gate with a squeak someone cared enough to oil. I parked down the block and walked up with a manila envelope. Laura answered in yoga pants and a worn college sweatshirt. Mid-30s like us, bare face, hair twisted up with a pencil. Her eyes had that open, friendly quality you get from someone used to hosting neighbors with borrowed sugar. Can I help you? She asked. Yeah, I said. I'm Mark. I'm not selling anything. I'm also not here with good news. Her mouth tilted. Okay, I think your husband is seeing my wife. She didn't slam anything or faint. She leaned on the door jamb like it had asked for help. You're sure? I lifted the envelope. I brought what I have. She stepped aside. Come in. We sat at the small kitchen table. A plant climbed the window over the sink. A calendar hung with color-coded blocks. I slid the photos across. She looked, one by one. When she saw the townhouse entry shot, her hand found the edge of the table the way mine found my desk. I'm not surprised, she said quietly. I didn't want to be the one who made it true. I was asked by my attorney not to alert my wife, I told her. But she said telling you is fine. If you need to call someone, I won't be offended. Laura wiped her eyes with the cuff of her sweatshirt. No. I had a feeling. Late nights. Gym that somehow took 3 hours. Bringing flowers from a client and acting like he'd solved cancer. I told myself he was just restless. I'm sorry, I said. The dog hair on my jeans suddenly felt like a confession. If you want my attorney's number, I'll give it. If you want to think, that's fine too. Can I have the number? She asked. I wrote it on a post-it. She folded it once, neat. Do you want me to tell him you came? Actually, my attorney recommended we say nothing to them until paperwork is ready. I don't want my wife moving money or creating noise. Same logic might help you. Laura nodded. Okay, thank you for telling me. We stood. At the door, she touched my arm. Can I have your number too? In case. I don't know. In case I can't figure out how to breathe in a room full of people who think my life is normal. I gave her my cell. She saved it, looked up, then down quickly, suddenly shy. I'm sorry, she said. This is strange. Strange is the word, I agreed. That night, Megan came home after 10, humming under her breath, the way a person hums when practice went well. I didn't ask. I put my new rule on the fridge. Effective tomorrow, separate bedrooms, separate budgets, quiet hours after 11. Communicate schedule before 5, or I will make my own. No exceptions. She read it while taking a yogurt. She didn't comment. She took the yogurt to her bedroom and closed the door. 2 days later, Ms. Patel emailed, documents ready. Come by. I signed. She filed, and then she leaned back in her chair. Now you tell her. Short words. No arguments. If she escalates, you disengage. If she cries, you keep your feet under you. Do not negotiate. Understood. And if you want to loop in the other spouse, now is the time. It can speed things up. I texted Laura on the way to my truck. We filed today. If you want Patel's input, she's expecting your call. She responded with a single, thank you. Then 5 minutes later, can we talk? Today. After 6, I wrote, neutral place or my porch? Your porch. I can't do a coffee shop. At 6:30, Laura sat on my porch steps while the dog lay between us like a peace treaty. She held a folded tissue in both hands like a white flag. He was home early and weird, she said. Kept asking if I needed anything. Then he took a shower and put on cologne for no reason. I almost said it. I know. But your text came in and I thought, wait, move with purpose. That's a good motto, I said. She sniffed. I called your attorney. She explained the process. She said to sit tight one day while she preps. I don't know if I should be proud or mortified I had all the statements ready. Prepared is not a sin. She looked at me for the first time without that fog. You're very steady. Steady is cheaper than broken, I said. The dog put his head on her knee. She scratched his ear. What's his name? Gus. Hi, Gus, she told him. You're better than cologne. We talked about logistics, keys, utilities, numbers you never thought you'd say out loud to a stranger. At one point, she went quiet, then smiled crookedly. How about a date after the papers? She asked suddenly, eyes on the yard like she'd thrown a pebble and wanted to see where it landed. I leaned back. How about a date before the papers? I replied. Dinner. No lies. Just 2 people who got the memo late. She shook her head at me, amused and blushing. That's wildly inappropriate. Correct, I said. But we've been living inside inappropriate for months. I'm done pretending. She bit her lip, considered, then nodded once. Okay, after you tell her. I tell her tomorrow, I said. Then I'm free to eat food with a person who looks me in the eye. We kept it simple after that. Daily texts. 10-minute calls between obligations. A walk with Gus when the weather allowed. Nothing dramatic. 2 people keeping their voice steady while the floor shifted. The next afternoon, I drove home with a manila envelope riding shotgun. Megan's car was in the drive. Inside, she stood at the sink painting her nails while a video played on her laptop. I set the envelope on the island. We need to talk, I said. That's rich, she replied, eyes on her cuticle. Now you want to talk. We'll keep this short, I said. I filed for divorce today. This is not a negotiation. Her hand froze, polish glinting. Excuse me. You heard me. She turned, the brush in her hand like a tiny flag. Why? What are you? I opened the envelope and slid out the photos. Because I'm not the backup plan to another man's hobby. Because you've been walking in at 1 a.m. smelling like places we don't go. Because I like myself. She stared at the photos. I watched the shift. Shock, then the staged sadness, then When she realized there was nothing left to sell me, flat calculation. She put the brush back in the bottle and set both down. So you figured it out, she said, face empty. Okay. Pack a bag, I replied. You're leaving tonight. She laughed. That's cute. You think you can throw me out of my house? Our house, I corrected. Which you moved out of the day you turned it into a charging station. You can come back when we schedule pickup. Tonight you go to Terrace. Or wherever. Not here. This is going to be fun, she said softly. I'll be back when I take the rest of it with me. Good luck, I told her. You'll need more than a gym receipt. She scooped clothes from drawers without slamming. She took the things she cared about and left the things she assumed she would litigate over later. At the door, bag on her shoulder, she looked me over like a realtor judging curb appeal. You're going to regret not working on this, she said. I've been working, I answered. I stopped being ignored. That's progress. She gave me a wink that belonged to a performer on a cheap stage and closed the door behind her. The house exhaled. I fed the dog, texted Ms. Patel, she's out, and then called Laura. She left, I said. Clean. Mine did too, Laura said. I could hear a quiet kitchen on her end, the clink of a glass. He said almost word for word what you predicted. That I'd be sorry when I remembered how good we had it. Script must be online somewhere, I said. You okay? I'm shaken and starving. That's my current brand. Come over, I said. We're not doing pity. We're doing dinner. She hesitated once. I'll bring dessert. I make a decent lemon pie. You're hired. Laura showed up an hour later with a foil-covered pie like a peace offering to the gods of second chances. She looked wrung out, but clear. We ate grilled chicken and roasted potatoes at my small table like normal people. We talked work, not wounds. At 11, the dog snored by the back door. We sat on the couch with a polite 2 feet of air between us. Do we toast? She asked, holding up water. Feels weird to call it a celebration. It's not a celebration, I said. It's a beginning with evidence. To evidence, she said, tapping my glass. To evidence, I echoed. We fell into a rhythm. Days had tasks. Nights had simple dinners, sometimes hers, sometimes mine. We didn't sneak. We didn't whisper. We just refused to live by someone else's fog. If old rules didn't fit, we wrote new ones in pen. Of course, Megan didn't leave the field quietly. 2 mornings after she moved out, she texted, "We need to talk about what you've been doing behind my back." I ignored it. 10 minutes later, people are asking questions. I'm not going to be humiliated because you couldn't be a husband. I put my phone face down and cut lumber for a new project. Noon. If you don't meet me, I'll tell everyone what you did. I sent one line. All communication through counsel. That night, Tara called. I let it go to voicemail. Then she texted from an unknown number. You owe Megan a conversation. I blocked it. I don't know people who treat me like a spare tire. Saturday, we ran into it in public. I took Laura to a small neighborhood place for burgers. Ben sat with his sister at a table by the window and gave me a half salute. We were halfway through our plates when Megan walked in with Tara and another friend I'd seen at exactly one barbecue. She clocked me, clocked Laura, and smiled in a way that belonged on a courtroom TV show I don't watch. She came over without invitation. Wow, she said, moving fast. I wiped my hands and looked up. Megan, this is Laura. Laura, my estranged wife. You've both already met, in a way. Megan blinked. Laura didn't flinch. She nodded politely. Evening. So this is the story? Megan said, turning to me. You're the victim and needed a shoulder so badly you found one in record time. I'm not a victim, I replied. I'm a man who prefers company to silence. Megan snorted. You're pathetic. Ben leaned back at his table and said, conversationally loud, tell your drama, club, the microphones are on. I looked at Megan. You can eat or you can leave. Those are your options. She stared for a beat, waiting for a rise I didn't have. Tara tugged her sleeve. Megan made a show of looking Laura up and down, then turned and walked away. Laura exhaled slowly. That could have been worse. It could have been louder, I said. But I don't reward performers. We finished dinner. At the door, Ben clapped my shoulder. You handled that like you handle a grinder, safe and boring. Proud of you. High praise, I said. Monday morning, the rumor mill spun. A cousin I rarely hear from texted a paragraph about how heartbreaking it was that I had stepped out on a woman who did everything. Megan had been busy. I ignored the texts until lunch, then decided to stop letting other people write my story. I drafted one post on my page. Not a rant. Not a slam. Just facts. A short timeline, distance, boundaries, the late nights, the photos, the filings. I cropped identifying details that didn't belong online. I blurred faces that weren't necessary. I included a line about not discussing this further and a reminder to direct any questions to me, not to a third-hand narration. I hit post, locked my screen, and went back to work. An hour later, my phone buzzed with 3 messages. Ben, clean. Alice, proud of you, honey. Miss Patel, good. Keep it factual. No more. Megan texted, unbelievable. I didn't reply. Tara texted from a new number. You're cruel. I didn't play. Laura called that night. He's raging, she said quietly. Not yelling. The small kind. The one where he acts like you broke a toy he forgot he never bought. Stay steady, I said. He's angry because the lights came on. She chuckled, surprised. You talk like someone who's been a foreman all his life. Pretty close. Can we get out of town Saturday? She asked. Just a day? The noise is loud. Done, I replied. I'll pack sandwiches. We'll leave early. Gus rides shotgun. We drove upstate to a trail that followed a river. Walked a while. Ate on a rock. Talked like people who remembered the dumb comfort of silence. When we got back, my porch had a gift, a manila envelope and a note from Megan. Since you like evidence. Inside, old photos of us, first apartment keys, a concert ticket stub. I put the envelope back on the chair and took a picture for my lawyer. Then I set it in the garage on a shelf labeled, to be returned. The rest moved quickly. When you stop feeding a fire, it finds less to burn. Ms. Patel kept calls short. Documents moved without drama. Laura's attorney ran equally tight. Both our soon-to-be exes tried one more tactic, over-the-top kindness. Megan led with it on a Tuesday morning, showing up with coffee and muffins, smiling like it was year 2 and we'd forgotten to fight. I miss us, she said at my door. That makes one of us, I replied. We can fix this. I did fix it, I told her. You don't live here anymore. Her jaw flexed, then she softened again. I wasn't myself, she added. I was lost. You were harsh. I set boundaries, I said. Being told no doesn't make me harsh. Please, she said quietly. No. I answered and closed the door gently. Illusion 2 failed. She pivoted to spite, then to silence. Good. Noise takes energy. For weeks later, the papers finalized. It was clean. Property stayed as purchased. Retirement accounts remained with their owners. No need to fight over plates. Megan texted. I'll send someone for the rest. I sent my attorney the schedule. She handled it. When Megan's person arrived, I'd already put 3 boxes in the garage labeled and taped. We didn't argue over coffee mugs. Laura's process finished the same day, which is either fate or the universe respecting paperwork. Hers got more dramatic. Her husband wanted more than he'd earned. Her attorney didn't blink. She kept her car, her savings, and the new townhouse they'd bought in her name. He got the older home and a list of appliances he seemed oddly attached to. When she called, she half laughed, half sobbed. It's done, she said. I'm free. Me too, I said. Come over. I had steaks on the grill and 2 baked potatoes keeping warm. She walked in with a lightness I hadn't seen in anyone in months. The dog did a full circle of approval. We ate on the back deck under string lights I'd never turned on before because they'd felt like I was auditioning for a party I didn't host. Tonight they were just lights. When the plates were empty and the air cooled, I stood and went inside. Came back with a small box. No velvet drama. No kneeling. I set it on the table between us and opened it. A simple band. Not a ring that tries to tell a story. Just a constant circle. She looked from the ring to me and back. Are you serious? Completely, I said. I'm not asking because I need to fix something. I'm asking because I like who I am when I'm with you. And because I want the rest of my enemies to be paperwork, not people. No rush. No theater. I want you. If the answer is yes, we build. If it's no, we keep walking until it feels right. Laura looked down, then back up, steady. I've cried so much this month I don't have a dramatic reaction left in me, she said. But yes, I want the boring life. I want grocery lists and a dog who thinks we're heroes. The dog thumped his tail against my chair like a gavel. I slipped the ring on her finger. She exhaled like the last piece of machinery finally shut off in a loud factory. We didn't throw a party. We didn't call anyone who would script our joy. We got my truck serviced, replaced a gutter, and combined 2 coffee mugs that both fit under the same cabinet. Laura moved in slowly with boxes labeled like a sane person, kitchen, Books. Sentimental. I finished a workbench in the garage I'd been postponing because I used to live in reaction. Now I live in action. Megan circled a few times after that. A mutual acquaintance told me she swore she'd left me because I couldn't commit. A bold claim from someone who kept her shoes at two people's doormats. She left a comment on my post with a vague, "Truth has two sides" flourish. I deleted it and locked comments. Then I posted once more. A simple photo of my back deck with two chairs, a dog asleep, and a line. Good things grow quietly. That's all. No need to drag ghosts into an empty room. Ben stopped by one Saturday with a six-pack I didn't open and a laugh. You did it, he said. You moved like a foreman and a man at the same time. High bar, I said. Keep it, he replied. It looks good on you. Alice trimmed her roses and yelled across the fence. Tell the new lady I make mean pecan bars. Laura yelled back that she'd trade lemon pie. That's how neighborhoods should sound. Barter and a dog working security for snacks. Work stayed solid. We won a contract with a local builder who liked that we delivered on time and didn't waste breath. I bought a used pickup with fewer miles and an interior that smelled like nothing, which is a smell you appreciate more than leather when you're starting clean. The house looked like two people lived there on purpose. No blanket forts. No do not disturb signs that weren't announced up front. People ask sometimes, quietly, usually in a parking lot, how did you keep it together? I tell them the truth. I didn't keep it together. I rebuilt it. I put new rules on the table when the old ones failed. I didn't yell. I didn't chase. I closed doors softly that were being slammed in my face. And when it came time to choose between being liked and being respected, I picked respect. People can like a version of you they don't respect. That's not worth the chicken going cold for. The last time I heard about Megan, she'd moved into a smaller place closer to work. Someone said she was finding herself, which is code for living with the results of choices. She posted photos with friends and captions about healing. Good. I'm genuinely not spiteful about it. She wanted attention and comfort without accountability. That's a lifestyle. It just isn't mine. As for me, I didn't end up alone. I ended up with a woman who can sit on a porch and watch a dog patrol the yard like he's got stock options. We get up early. We work. We eat dinner at the table most nights. Sometimes we go out. When we do, we hold hands not because we're proving anything, but because it's natural. When we run into people from the old life, we nod, we're polite, and we walk on. The world doesn't need our commentary. It can read the outcome. The night before our small ceremony, it'll be in the backyard with 5 people and a cake we won't post. A text came in from an unknown number. You really moved on. No punctuation. I deleted it and turned my phone face down. Laura came out with 2 mugs of tea, set one in front of me, and leaned on the rail. Tomorrow's the day, she said. Tomorrow's just another day we do on purpose, I answered. She laughed softly. You and your lines. They're not lines, I said. They're policies. Then here's mine, she replied. No more fog. No more fog, I agreed. I don't have a grand lesson. People act how they act. My job is to act back with logic. When someone tells you they need space, listen, give it to them. Then use that space to build a life they don't get to decorate with their mood. Don't argue about what respect is. Demonstrate it. And when the time comes to close the book, don't write an epilogue full of excuses. Write one that fits on a postcard. I kept the house. I kept my name. I kept my dignity. She kept her story. It stopped matching. We built something simple. It's more than enough.